This is the legendary Lobot truck, as seen by almost 20 people on YouTube.
What the hell was that?
I really hate winter. I've got a little bit of a start so far on this overlanding Land Cruiser, but for now we're gonna deal with these and see if we can make this horrible freaking fiberglass nose fit. Alright, so I'm going to work on this pillar here and get this piece here figured out. So I've got some welding to finish here. Now this piece here is actually one of the inner structure pieces, and I turned it upside down and put it back this way. And that was just to finish this off and give it a bit more strength. It's not how these look on the actual trucks, but you know, we're not worried about how it looks. I mean, obviously we don't have the correct firewall sunk back and all that. So anyway, I'm going to work on finishing this area here up, trimming all the excess away, making it look pretty, and clean all of this up, and then go from there. I'll worry about welding up here when I actually take the body off, because this section will stay with the chassis and this piece will come off, and if I'm not careful I'll end up welding the actual body to the part of the chassis, so that can wait. Alright, so I'll drill out these Cleco holes here now, and I'll plug weld this panel behind it to this. God, I hate this switch. It's going to sit somewhere in there, like about there. So this gap here is absolutely horrible, but you can't do much about it because that. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is we're going to actually just come down here and just joggle that just a little bit back, and that way we can close the gap up and get it more in line up with here. You see they sit forward there. And I think that's the difference in the reproduction doors and the factory doors. It's not a hideous match. I've seen a lot worse. And take it back off again. So what I'm going to do is, if I mount the front of this off of this angle and I've got to adjust it in or out, I'm kind of stuck. It needs to be on the vertical, it needs to be on the same plane as this mounting bolt here. So I'm just going to make a little box in this corner. I want to leave this open just so that if any water gets in here, it can actually drain out. So I'm just going to make a box. Oh, that's still hot. A box in this corner that probably comes down and has just like a little bit of a slope on it just to direct any water away. And has a vertical mount that way with a captive bolt. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so this is my funky little triangular piece that's going to go in here. Which way does it go? That way. It'll go in like that. If any water comes down, it'll funnel the water off. So now what we'll do is we'll measure here, put a hole in here, weld a nut in it, and weld that on. And then we'll make a piece, a little L-shaped bracket here and a little L-shaped bracket here. Alright, there's a little tab. There's our little L-shaped bracket. Hold on in there. I'm going to have to oversize these holes later just to make sure I got some adjustability in this fender, but if you do this and you get them as close as you can to start, then your adjustability is better after you open the hole up. Alright, so this is just a rough guess. I'm just guessing on the gap that it's going to have here. If it's sitting in a little bit, because we're going to have to shim it, and I'd rather be sitting in than sitting out. So we can put a shim behind it and move that out. Shockingly, that doesn't look all that bad. This is going to end up getting cut. I don't know if I can do this. But that's actually going to line up pretty decent. That's not going to look bad at all. A little bit more trimming, but that's actually going to work. Alright, so tomorrow I'll finish mounting this up all nice and solid and do some final trimming on it, but I think that's going to work a lot better. So I did some thinking about this panel last night after I left, and I realized that if I leave this section here on, which goes under this one, I'm stopping myself from being able to adjust each panel individually. So I'm going to cut this off here, step it back over this way, so that I can shim this panel separate from that panel. So if this panel needs a 1/16 of an inch shim and this needs an 1/8 of an inch shim or whatever it is, I can do it. If I do it this way, then I'm stuck with moving both panels out at the same distance. So I'm going to have to make a panel that'll come down here, fill this cavity here, that'll have the shape, and then weld an edge on it, turn it this way, and then turn and hem this edge right here. The way this panel is, I can't open the door because it clips on the inside of the lip that I've got. So it's going to take me a little while to make this. So that's my inner panel. So I'll weld that up now and then grind it down. Give that a second to cool down and then we'll clean it up and attach it to the other piece. Alright, so that's going to go there, and then this edge is going to have to hem over. And so that'll sit up in there like that. We'll hem that edge over. Alright, so I'm just gonna sand this edge down so it's parallel. Let's just try and make it more uniform. Ah, you shit. So this is sitting just out a little too far, but we can actually come in here, so it looks like I got to do is just trim this back 1/8 of an inch or so, and then tack that back on. So this panel needs to push back a little bit, and I'm gonna need to do some trimming down here to get the bottom to pull in. The top is sitting really nice. The bottom's just out of it, so that's just a matter of trimming that inner piece a little bit to get it to go in. So this looks like about the last time I'll have to sand this edge down. We're starting to get really close. God, I hate this grinder. Alright, so I just spent about 30 minutes adjusting all of this, and I can now move that door forward maybe a 1/16 of an inch without it hitting there. So I'll be able to close that gap up a little bit, but it'll still not be great. The bottom looks like it's slipped back just from that clamp. Have I ever mentioned I hate winter? So I was looking for something to put this line on here with, and I grabbed this old torn up sanding belt, and it actually works surprisingly well for contouring around the sheet metal. Normally I use a banding strap, but I just couldn't find a piece. That works real well. It's actually got to come out a little bit. Okay, that's not bad. So the plan now is to bring this down here and into here, and then we'll put like a latch piece in here to hold the nose down. Alright, so this is the piece that's going to go in here. So we'll cut it out on this line here, and then we'll run it through the bead roller on the tipping die and turn that edge, and then we'll weld it on here. Just make a copy of this for the other side before I put the edge on it. They should be really close to each other, so. Alright, so this is a tipping die I made, and I've actually got to work on it a little bit. This bolt gets in the way. But all you do is you take a little bit of pressure on there, and then just very slowly and just gradually keep doing that. Keep adding a bit more pressure to it and just pulling it a little harder each time. Alright, and you just keep upping it, and right now I've got all the pressure I can on there. And then you keep upping the pressure here. This is what I got to change on this. I've actually got to make a little piece in here with a countersunk head of a countersunk head bolt in there. And it looks like I'm going to have fun shrinking just a little bit here. Anything can become a dolly. Alright, so you see here where it's kind of starting to tuck. There's just a little too much metal here, and what you can do is you can either try and capture that and shrink it. Sometimes it's just quicker and easier just to take a little pie cut in there, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll just pie cut it fold it over, weld it. Alright, so there's that little turned lip. And that'll come onto here, like that. We'll weld that on that edge there. Clean that all up, and then we'll trim this edge off. It looks pretty damn good. I mean, we can get the rest of that with adjustability. The door's got to come forward to fill that gap. It'll look alright. So we'll weld that on the inside so that we can kind of radius that corner just a little bit. Alright, there we go. So we'll see how she bolts up. Alright, so it's rinse and repeat. It doesn't really make too much sense to film the other side. It's just the exact same process in reverse. Alright, so we got to trim the edge off of there. Do the same on the other side. But at least we're starting to get this horrible nose in place now. So that'll do it for this one.